All right, so um, we recorded half of our Xbox predictions. Thankfully, we didn't get to do it all that night because literally the next day they announced the developer direct scheduled for January 18th, and they dropped a mega, uh, I don't know how, I don't know what you'd call it, like just a mega announcement on everyone that Indiana Jones is going to be a part of the direct. You would think that something like that might be kind of like the surprise thing, like oh my God, Indiana Jones. But no, they're just like, yeah, show up, watch the show because Indiana Jones is there, um, which honestly floored me. I was hoping because when I was watching other people talk about the direct and stuff, like oh, they're going to show some Hellblade, they're going to show some Avowed and stuff like that. But then everyone was kind of like, well, they'll have the big stuff this summer. And my thinking was always, you have like 9,000 studios right now. There's no reason why you can't every show that you do can't be amazing because they could show like 7 games at this developer direct and then come back in June and show you a bunch of shit that you've never seen. So I was always of the opinion that no, you should go out with your developer direct and you should have like an amazing show. And so I was really happy to see this something as major as the first look, more than 10 minutes, which I don't think it's all going to be gameplay. I think it's going to be gameplay, talking to the team, trying to, get an idea of what the game is, but still we're getting an over 10-minute segment of Indiana Jones, which is crazy. Um, and oh my God, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see that game. I cannot wait to see their vision for it. The rumored title is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, I think is the name. But oh my God, I can't wait. What's your thoughts on just the developer direct and just the fact that we're going to see Indiana Jones in what 5 days?
Yeah. The fact that they're showing it in January also just leads me to believe that that's for sure a 2024 game.
Hmm.
Like they're showing it really early.
Yeah, I mean, I know that guys like Tom Henderson, some other people put out reports that uh, the word behind the scenes is that it's this year. I had been hearing that it was this year. Especially it was definitely going to be shown. See, like, had we not waited to do more of these Xbox predictions, that was going to be one of my predictions. Was that we were definitely going to see it this year, and that it might even release this year. But yeah, and then I think someone brought up the fact that like, they announced Wolfenstein 2 and they just put it out in like a few months, and it's not uncommon for the studio to do that. So I, I, I don't know. Call me crazy, but I really feel like Indiana Jones could definitely be the fall game for sure because that just makes sense. It's a busy time. You want a big fall game, and that would be major. But I think
I could
personally,
honestly see it coming sooner in the fall.
yeah. See, I was going to say I think summer would make more sense for Indiana Jones because obviously movies like that. And I know movies and games are very different, but movies like that, it's action blockbuster. You want to put them out in the summer because everyone's going to go watch it, all that stuff. And I think you could see maybe the same effect possibly if you put it out this summer because I don't know, I just think especially if it's ready, and they can put it out this summer, then do that. And then Avowed, because I feel like Avowed might be the fall game. I feel like they need a little bit more time, and I don't know, maybe we'll see it, at the direct, and it's just going to look amazing. It's going to be like, well, Avowed looks like it could come out tomorrow, but I think give Avowed
Do you,
the most time, but I think this summer could be a good spot for Indiana Jones.
do you think Indiana Jones is going to be first or third person?
I think a game like that needs to be third person. I wouldn't be shocked if they do the Bethesda Game Studios treatment and actually do both. I wouldn't be shocked if they do that. I do think if you ask me which one are they focusing on, which one are they doing, they're 1,000% probably going to do third person because I just feel like Indiana Jones, you need to see the character. It's a legendary character. People want to see Indiana Jones, and I think that I think that would just be. I'm not going to say it would be dumb to do first person because I think that that's what that studio is known for, and I think that if that makes the better game, then sure. But I think third person just makes a ton of sense, and I'm sure that's probably what it is. But I wouldn't be shocked if there was an option, just like in all Bethesda game studios games, where in Fallout and Elder Scrolls, you can play in third person or you can play in first person if you want. So
Yeah, I really can't wait for that game because I really like Uncharted 4. I really like that game, and I also like the Tomb Raider series. So I'm really excited to see Indiana Jones
yeah,
and that studio's take on it.
yeah, I can't wait, man. I can't wait to see Indiana Jones because this is a big deal for Xbox. Like Starfield was a really big deal for Xbox. It was their biggest exclusive, especially new IP since, Gears. And just to have there's just no world where you would ever thought like, oh, like the team that made Skyrim, they're going to one day make an Xbox exclusive and it's going to be a new IP and it's going to be a sci-fi game. Like, yeah, sure, that'll never happen, but it did. And that was a huge deal. But this is just another huge deal because this is an exclusive license game, an exclusive Indiana Jones game, an exclusive game that's most likely going to be in the same vein as your Uncharted 4s and stuff like that. Those are the same games that Xbox fans looked at in the Xbox One PS4 gen. And it's like, man, like, I wish we had a game like that. I wish we had a game like Uncharted 4 that looked like that had the graphics like that had the gameplay like that it felt like it was a AAA product. You got to remember, I mean, we were getting Super Lucky's Tale. We were getting Sea of Thieves, which I love, but when it launched, it was just totally a barren landscape. There was nothing to do in the game. Now, I love Sea of Thieves, like I've said before. I think in the previous video we recorded, we talked a lot about Everwild, and I love Sea of Thieves. I'm Pirate Legend in that game, but I played it on launch, and there was not much to do in the game. So it was just like a
Yeah, and like
constant.
I said about Uncharted, that's like Sony's, well, Xbox's answer to Uncharted. Like, I mean, they're going to have a game like Uncharted 4
Yeah,
with
exactly.
Indiana Jones.
Exactly. I mean, they're just gonna. I feel like they're just gonna have everything. Like that's the beauty of Xbox right now. That's the beauty of their strategy, and one of the reasons that I love their strategy so much right now is it's not a, you know, and this is no shots at like Sony or Nintendo, mainly Sony. But if you look at like, especially Sony's lineup, there's a lot that you could point to that's missing. Like there's a lot of games genres that Sony just does not have, and I love that Xbox has made it a focal point to have. Okay, this might be a bold statement, but and keep in mind, I'm saying when their studios hit their stride and when their studios start putting out all kinds of games, I think they will have the best variety in the industry, and that's with Sony and Nintendo included. I think that Microsoft will have the best variety included. They have strategy games, they have first-person shooters, they have RPGs, they have platformers, they have a racing game. If they bring back Banjo, they're going to have their mascot. They have Crash. They have mobile games. They have your mega IP in Minecraft and Call of Duty. They have your PC action RPGs with, games like Diablo, and they have World of Warcraft, and they have, one day there's rumors that StarCraft will get, brought back one day. Like, there's just so much that they have, and I just think it's again when their studios start putting out all these games, people are going to be like, "Oh my God, they have just something for everyone. There's nothing that they don't have." And again, this fills that void. This is your action adventure game. This is your action. Again, I've always had the complaint about games like Uncharted that they're very Tom Cruise. I know I joke about that with you all the time, but they're just very Tom Cruise-esque games. I mean, it's action hero saves the day, and this is going to be that for Xbox. This is going to be your action movie summer blockbuster game, and I just can't wait. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see what it looks like. I can't wait to see what they're doing. And I think it's going to be awesome for the Xbox fans, especially, to just have a game like this that they can point to and say, "Wow, that's coming to our platform, and it's only available on our platform."
And it could even be a game of the year contender.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if they knock this out of the park, this I, people need to understand that this can be so big. This can be bigger than Starfield. Microsoft came out and said that Starfield resulted in the most new Game Pass signups ever. This can, I would almost say it might double it. Because you got to think about this. This is not, like, Starfield was a new IP. Like, I think that's what's so funny about when people hate on Starfield. Like, oh, like, they'll bring up the 83 Metacritic, which I don't know why we're in a world where apparently an 83 Metacritic, I think it's 86 on PC, but apparently that's bad. Uh, but even the Steam numbers came out today, and it was like third in revenue on PC, 235 million, right behind a franchise like Hogwarts Legacy, which is a known IP for over 20 years, and a new IP was able to do that. Now you're talking about Indiana Jones. You're talking about a character that people from, people that was maybe in their 20s and 30s when it came out, like like they love that game. People that was born, and they were really young when Indiana Jones came out. They love that character and that movie. I don't know if I said game earlier, but I meant movie. But they love that. Kids that grew up in the 90s, kids that grew up in the early 2000s, like this is a character that people love. And you're telling me that we're getting a triple A, high budget Indiana Jones game. There's going to be a lot of eyes on this game, especially if that gameplay looks good. If that
Yeah.
gameplay looks good, this is going to be a big ass deal for Xbox and Game Pass.
And something else I just thought of is two other games that like excelled, like well, it's kind of similar to Indiana Jones, Uncharted and Tomb Raider. They have been absent for quite some time.
Yeah,
So fans of Uncharted would be interested in Indiana Jones.
exactly.
And then fans of Tomb Raider is going to be interested in Indiana Jones. So that's going to put like a lot of eyes on Indiana Jones, and it's coming to Game Pass. So that's going to be even more subscribers to Game Pass.
Yeah, dude. See, I didn't even think about that shit because even like Tomb Raider, like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, a lot of people didn't like. It was met with kind of mixed reception. And then yeah, Uncharted's been missing in action since Lost Legacy. So you're gonna
And
have
if you
people.
want to scratch Uncharted and Tomb Raider itch, because Sony might have moved on from Uncharted, Naughty Dog might have moved on from Uncharted,
Yeah,
and we don't know when we're getting another AAA Tomb Raider game. So if you want to scratch that itch of that, you know, blockbuster Tom Cruise movie summer hit, you got that with Indiana Jones.
exactly, man. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, man. This is going to be a big ass deal. It's going to be huge, and I hope that Xbox gives it the marketing that it deserves. And that's why I do love that they just came out. Don't fucking save it for some little surprise because then you're not going to get people to watch the show. Like like I'm not hating because I cannot wait for Hellblade and I can't wait for Avowed. And I'm even interested in uh, what's the game called? Ava History Untold. I can't remember the name of it, but because I do like strategy games, so I like those games. But it's a totally different world where if you just show those three games and you're like, oh no, let's keep Indiana Jones a secret. You just gained a lot of viewers just by saying you're gonna get your first look at the new Indiana Jones game. You just gained a lot of viewers by doing that. So I hope that they give it that marketing that it deserves because I think Xbox needs to realize that this can be huge. This can be a very big deal for
Yeah.
them.
Especially if they nail like all the things that like Uncharted and Tomb Raider has excelled in, like um, and story and characters, which Indiana Jones is known for having like good plots and stuff like that, and like your set pieces, your action, the gunplay. If they nail all of that, then this could be a really great game.
Yeah, and see, especially with the gunplay, that's something that, I don't worry about because if you've played Wolfenstein, you know that the gunplay in those games feel fucking incredible. So the gunplay in this game is going to feel so good. We'll see what happens with the story. Um, I guess there is some concern there because, you know, it's definitely going to be a new actor playing Indiana Jones, and we'll see how people react to that. As long as he's good, as long as whoever's doing it, you know, nails the role, it's not going to be an issue. But man,
Yeah, if they had the spirit of Indiana Jones.
if he's not though, I think a lot of people might be like, this ain't Indiana Jones. So they do have to nail the performance, I think, and we'll see what happens there. I don't know what the title and the Great Circle could uh, indicate about where the story is going. I don't know exactly. We'll see. But
The actor that's going to play Indiana Jones in this video game has some big shoes to fill
oh, definitely.
because Harrison Ford just like set the standard of that character and created like an archetype of that character that people like try to copy and mimic and stuff like that. And like they've just got big shoes to fill. Like you cannot mess that uh, portrayal of that character up.
Yeah, I mean, Tomb Raider and Uncharted, they copied it, so
Yeah,
it set a legacy that hopefully they can match. They have to match it, and they have to remind people like, no, Indiana's the best. Indiana's the reason that these characters exist. So we'll see what happens. I can't wait. I honestly just can't wait. I'm so excited about that game and can't wait to see it. Hope it lives up to expectations, and I hope it releases
it's
very soon.
definitely my most anticipated game from Xbox going forward.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about this year, I don't know if because I'm really excited about Avowed because I love Obsidian and I loved Outer Worlds. Um, I love Fallout New Vegas. I recently started Pentiment, which is kind of the smaller indie game that they put out a few years ago, or yeah, I think it was 2022 it came out. Um, but I love that studio and I can't wait for Avowed, especially if because it seems like with the messaging they're really leaning into player choice and like your actions really kind of defining who you are, whether you're good or evil, those types of things. And I think that could be a really good game. But honestly, Indiana Jones is definitely up there. Like it might be my most anticipated this year, if if that's all that comes out this year, which there might be more. But yeah, I can't wait for Indiana Jones.
What do you think about Hellblade 2 getting a release date at this developer's direct?
Well, I mean, if they show up and don't announce a release date, that would be insane. Like honestly, that would be insane. I feel like Xbox has to know at this point. Like this game has kind of gotten that Deathloop treatment. Like a lot of people with Deathloop was like, "Can you please stop showing this?" Because there was that point in like 2020, 2021 where it was like every Sony show because they had the exclusive deal. Every Sony show was Deathloop, Deathloop, Deathloop. You knew you were going to see it. Uh, so I would imagine that Xbox has to be they have to know like okay we have to come out and we have to show it. Like we have to give people a release date. There's just no because I seen that on Twitter that when the Direct News posted the Hellblade account was like join us for a behind the scenes look, like as we go through the studio and kind of talk about you know what inspired us. I don't know, it was something like that. But then there was a comment on the tweet. A guy, his ad's Vren RMA, and he said, "At this point, I can detail the entire layout of your studio." And I thought that was funny because every time they've shown Hellblade outside of a couple of times, I feel like it's been the same thing. It's been like they're at the studio, they're showing off that new studio they built, And it's like at this point, just we've seen so much of it. I just want to see the release date. That's all I want to see. I don't want to see
That's what
anything
I was
else.
about, because we've seen Hellblade 2 the most. Do you think it's likely that we get Hellblade 2 quarter 1, and then Indiana Jones quarter 2, and then Avowed quarter 3?
Yes, I think that. I think Hellblade. If you want to talk about like wild predictions, if you're feeling adventurous, you could say, what if Xbox just goes crazy and the day of the direct they shadow drop Hellblade? Now, I don't think that will happen, mainly because Xbox has put a lot of marketing into this game. They believe in it. They really do. Like, you can tell Xbox believes in this game. There was a report that came out recently that their internal mock reviews, because everyone does mock reviews. You sit down, like, I think I was listening to the Xbox 2, and I think Jez was giving a description of what a mock review really is, and I'm not going to try to describe it in detail because I can't really remember exactly what it was, but I know that there's a lot of times they'll bring in ex reviewers, people that used to be reviewers, maybe they don't do it anymore. Um, and I would imagine they also get insight from just, maybe Xbox or anyone. And everyone plays the game and they kind of give, if they had to give kind of an idea of what a review would look like, they give a score. Um, and apparently their internal mock reviews are that Hellblade is going to be set at around the 90s, the early 90s, 90, 91. So they definitely believe in it. They've put it in all their marketing campaigns. They had that great Power Your Dreams marketing campaign a few months ago with Starfield and Hellblade in it. So they're putting it front and center. They believe in it, and I hope it pans out. I really loved the first game. I really liked it. It wasn't perfect. You can tell it was a double A studio that was, well, it was a double A game. I mean, you can tell, and there was the puzzle segments were okay, but this again, we were just talking about with Indiana Jones how Xbox is going to have something for everyone. There's going to be a genre, no matter what kind of gamer you are. If you just like RPGs, they're there for you. Or if you like first-person shooters, they're there for you. And this is going to scratch the Sony game. This is it. Hellblade is the Sony template. It's the third-person, over-the-shoulder, action game. That's what this is. So it's nice that Xbox fans are finally getting something like that. For years from Sony fans, Xbox fans were attacked, saying, "Hey, you guys don't have something like this," and now here we are. Xbox has Hellblade. So I hope it does well. I'm excited for it, and I don't think they'll shadow drop it. That would be fucking awesome if they did, but I don't think that will happen. I think it might come out March or April. I'm gonna say March or April. I'm gonna say that's when Hellblade 2 comes out.
That's what I was gonna say. Also, I don't see them shadow dropping it. I think that'd be a little bit too crazy. I do see them dropping it about March though. Like if you drop Hellblade 2 in March and Indiana Jones June or July, and then Avowed in like September, October, or November,
Yeah,
you would have a big releasing every quarter.
yeah. They've got like I said, they've got that History Untold strategy game. They've got Towerborn from the developers of the Banner Saga, which I'm actually really excited about that game. I know, again, to quote Jez on the Xbox 2, I watch that podcast a lot. So to quote him, he was saying that because he was when he played it at a recent event, he was wondering why the combat felt so good, and he found out that a lot of the Killer Instinct combat designers made the combat in Towerborn. So apparently the combat feels amazing in that game. So they've just got a lot of stuff, man. They got big games, they got small games, and I I just can't wait for the direct. I really can't. I am wondering if they're going to have a surprise fifth game though. I'm really wondering that. Uh,
That surprise fifth game could be Oblivion.
well, that's what I'm personally hoping for.
The
Yeah, and if you want to talk about like again Hellblade being shadow dropped, I think that's a little crazy, but I don't think it's crazy to think that they could show an Oblivion remake and be like, "Hey, it's available today." I mean, I don't think that's crazy.
I think that would be likely because I don't think they would just shadow drop one of their biggest games without any lead up to it. I feel like they'll have lead up to Hellblade 2, but I could definitely see them just shadow drop and say, "Hey, Oblivion's available as soon as this direct is over with." I can definitely see that being likely.
Yeah, yeah, because you don't really need to. You don't really need to do like a full-fledged marketing campaign for uh, like Oblivion. You don't really need to do that. Everyone knows what it is. It's Elder Scrolls. Um, there doesn't need to be a big lead up to that. And if you release it, it could get a lot of people excited. I don't know if Bethesda would want to do that. Well, they did it last year with uh, Hi-Fi, so I guess yeah, that could very well happen.
Yeah, just release like a smaller scale project as like a shadow drop because I just don't see them doing like a big game like just shadow drop like Hellblade.
I would be interested to see how that works, though. I would really be interested to see how that works because doing the shadow drop for Hi-Fi Rush really helped that game last year because like here's this new IP. It looks amazing. It really impressed everyone at the direct. Everyone was like, "Whoa!" And they really went like a deep dive on it. They were like, "Hey, they were talking about all the combat, uh, how the game works, all that stuff." And after like such a lengthy presentation, you could tell, like, because I've watched a bunch of reactions for that show. I loved the direct they did last year, especially the hi-fi segment. Um, you could tell that everyone was just like their mouths were salivating. They were like, "I want more of Hi-Fi Rush. I need to play this game." And then you get the announcement like the full game, not a demo, the full game. It's available today. And that's just like something that really doesn't happen for a big game like that to get shadow dropped, no bugs, just a perfect experience, amazing game. I would be interested to see how something like that would work for a game like Hellblade that you have spent years building up and showing trailers for to just all of a sudden say it's out today. I would I would really like to see how that would work.
Yeah, me too. Do you think this Oblivion remake or a remaster, do you think it's just going to be like a graphical upgrade or do you think there's going to be like updated controls like to match Skyrim's controls or do you think there'll be like well what do you think like this remake will be or remaster? What do you think it'll be? You think it'll be something simple or something a little crazy or what?
I hope it's a full scale remake. That's my dream because I love Oblivion, but a remake for that game would be amazing. It would do wonders for that game. I would love to see just because the thing is like yeah, I mean they could just give a 4K patch and update the controls, but like I just think especially I mean listen, Elder Scrolls fans have waited. It's oh my god, it's going to be 13 years. That is insane to say. It is going to be 13 years this year since Skyrim came out. The the last mainline Elder Scrolls game. For every franchise out there that thinks they're struggling, there's not been a new. Yes, we have Elder Scrolls Online, but there's not been a new mainline entry in the Elder. It's what's so crazy to me. This is a mega popular franchise. Like in like 2011 or 2012, if you asked anyone like what their favorite gaming franchise was, they would like most people would just say Elder Scrolls because it was just so popular. And we've not had another one for 13 years. That is insane to me. But anyway, uh, I think that would help a lot of people. Like imagine a full-scale remake of Oblivion, a game that looks beautiful and it just breathes new life into the Elder Scrolls community. Just like here's this new game. Yes, it's Oblivion, but this is not the version of Oblivion you've seen. This is beautiful and the controls are updated and I just think that would be amazing, but I just don't know if they'll do it. I could just totally see just it's 4K now. There's an optional 120 FPS mode. Controls are better. Maybe some textures, which I doubt, but I just don't want it to be if it's not a full scale remake, I'm not going to be as excited. I'll just say that. If it's just like it's 4K now, yeah, all right, whatever. If I replay it one day, sure, I'll that'll be the version I play. But yeah, I mean that just doesn't really do anything for me.
Could you imagine though if it was like a full blown remake and like Bethesda's been secretly hiding it and they just shadow dropped it
That
on
would
the
be
direct?
it would be fucking incredible. Like I would love that so much. You want to talk about someone who would like go to the Xbox store immediately? That's me. I would go immediately and download Oblivion Remake. That would be so cool. I don't know if it'll happen though. I hope it does, but I don't know if it'll happen. Yeah, that's ambitious to say the least. So yeah, I mean, we just talked about obviously the direct. 30 minutes on just the direct. Um, I mean, you just had said it, but uh, Xbox could potentially be looking at minimum three Game of the Year contenders this year if Hellblade and Avowed and Indiana Jones are all able to come out this year. I mean, those are three games that could be up for nomination. Like they're on that caliber.
Yeah, they really could. I mean, if they all come out and they deliver, then they could really be game of the year contenders for sure.
And I mean, it's because I do think this year is going to be really strong for Xbox. I think that I think the direct is going to be amazing. We just went over our predictions, and I was talking to you off the recording, but I forgot to mention the Double Fine rumored multiplayer game. I think it's like Killin' or something, whatever it's called. That's probably the most likely shadow drop option, but honestly, I'm not too interested in that personally. But I'm happy for them. I hope it does well. Uh, but yeah, I think this is going to be a great direct. I think this is going to be a great year for Xbox. The direct's going to be amazing. I mean, just if there's no surprise fifth game and it's just those four games, that's fine. I want to see Indiana Jones. I want to see Avowed. I want to get a release date for Hellblade. And like I said, I'm interested in strategy games. I like strategy games. So that History Untold game, I'm interested in that. It's not like mega, but I'm interested in it. So even if there's no surprise fifth game, that's going to be a great direct. It's going to be amazing. And then, you know,
It,
oh, go ahead.
well, I was going to say it's also most likely we're going to get another showcase from Xbox
Mm-hmm.
around summertime.
Yep. Yep. That's actually where I was going next, is because pretty soon we're going to get, because I think this upcoming financials call with Microsoft is going to be the first one with Activision and Blizzard as a part of Xbox. So their revenue is going to like skyrocket. So that's going to be great for Xbox. And then it's going to all lead into the showcase. I mean, if especially if, let's say, before the showcase you have a Hellblade 2 and fingers crossed Oblivion remake, and then you take all this momentum and go into the showcase. Hellblade's not going to be there because I think it's most likely going to be out. And depending on when Indiana Jones comes out, it might not be there either. Unless they do something crazy where they schedule. If Indiana Jones comes out in June and they schedule it for the day of their E3 show, they could like have a little trailer like, "Hey, it's out today, go play it." Um, but that might not be there either. Uh, Avowed might still show up, but there's gonna be a lot of like, just new things. I think we both agree that one of our most anticipated and something that we both want to see very bad and something that I do believe is going to be there. It might even open the show or close the show. I think we're definitely going to see perfect dark gameplay for the first time this year, which I cannot wait for. I cannot wait to see that game.
It's been 4 years since the reveal trailer,
Yeah, which is crazy. I remember,
and it's been 5 since we've received a new entry in the Perfect Dark series.
yeah, which is insane. It's
And
insane to think about.
you have the you have the initiative working on that game, and you have like so much talent behind that game. Like I just want to see what that game is going to be like.
it's definitely going to be interesting to see what their vision of a new Perfect Dark is. Like, I I don't really know what to expect. I know it's going to have an emphasis on gadgets, and I know that you're going to have your spy action thriller type gameplay, but like I, I just don't really know what to expect. I don't know. That trailer they showed, the reveal trailer was honestly amazing. Like I went back and I was watching reactions to the Game Awards that year. And that trailer still, I think, is really amazing. I think it's really interesting how the enemies in that game are apparently doing something. What do they call it? Eco sci-fi or something? Like there's like a lot of it's about the elements, and there's fires, and then there was that in that building there was like these vines and weeds like growing rapidly throughout everything. And I just think it's like, wow, that's a really unique take. It's not just. I would have been worried had they come out and it was just like, oh yeah, that looks like a typical spy thriller. I can't wait. This looks like they have a vision for it. It looks interesting, and again, we know Crystal Dynamics is helping with development on the game. So I can't wait. I cannot wait to see their take on Perfect Dark because it needs it. It needs like I'm not being a hater here, but let's be real. There needs to be a new take on Perfect Dark. Like there needs to be. So I can't wait to see that game.
Yeah, there definitely does need to be a new take because we haven't received a new entry since 2005, and game design has just rapidly changed like so fast since 2005. I
Yeah.
wonder if they're going to make the shift to third person.
Well, no, they've confirmed it's first person.
They've confirmed that it's first person. Okay,
Yeah.
see, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So because again, I remember that because in the Game Awards that year, they had the reveal trailer, but then they had that little like they were talking to some of the development team. One of them was the guy who he came from Insomniac and then he left and then he went back to Insomniac. But uh, but yeah, they mentioned first person in that video that they did, so it's for sure a first person game. Now, will there be a third person mode? I don't know. They might do the Bethesda again, like with Indiana Jones. They might do the Bethesda Game Studios thing, but I kind of like the idea that they're just it's first person because that's what the first one was. So go back, make it a first person shooter. Well, Zero was too. I don't know what I'm thinking. They both were first person games, so keeping with tradition, it's a first person game. But I remember them saying that they were doing interesting things with the first person. I remember mentions of like GoPro and things like that. I don't know. I'm really interested to see what that game looks like
I definitely think we will see it this year
for sure.
because it will make 4 years since it's been seen again. I definitely think they have something ready to show us of perfect
Yeah,
work.
for sure. There's 1,000%. I would bet money on it if I was a betting man. I would say that we're 1,000%. We're 1,000% seeing Perfect Dark. Like I almost know for a
Do you know?
fact.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm willing to bet 100% that we're going to see at this summer showcase?
What?
I think we're going to see Gear 6. I think
Yeah,
that's a given.
yeah. That's another safe bet. I would be shocked if at some point, whether you know the direct, which I doubt, the showcase, which very likely, Game Awards more likely, especially the showcase and Game Awards, I would be shocked if we come out of this year and not see Gear 6. Like 1,000%. We're definitely going to see that game. And honestly, I was down on Gears of War for a while. I thought Gears of War 4 was just okay, and I thought Gears of War 5 was slightly less, but again, just okay. I wasn't really blown away because again, Gears of War was amazing back in the day when it came out. But you were just talking about with Perfect Dark how sometimes games get stuck in that 2006 design, Kingdom Hearts, and they don't really do anything to change it up. And that's my biggest complaint with Gears of War is with Gears of War 4, I was like, that is a 2009 video game that I just played. Like, there was nothing in Gears of War 4 where I was like, oh man, that feels like they really elevated this franchise. No, I was like, yep, that's a 2008 video game if I've ever played one. And then Gears 5 rolls around, and they're talking about these open world segments and stuff or whatever, which is more so open map. Um, and once again, with Gears 5, it was like, yep, I just like Gears of War 4. Yep, I just played a 2008 game. Gears of War 5. Yep, I just played a 2008 game with a couple open world segments. Like there was just no evolution in that franchise. Like Gears of War 4 and 5 did nothing, nothing to evolve that franchise. So I was always of the camp after 5. I was like reboot, 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 please. It needs it. It just rip the band-aid off, reboot the franchise. And I'm still kind of holding out hope that that's the case. But if it's Gear 6, I'm at least happy that it's been 5 years. That's insane to think about, but this fall will make 5 years since 2019, which is I don't even understand how that's real. But we're getting to that point where it's been 5 years. It's probably going to be at minimum 6 to 7 to 8 years before Gears comes out, which, in my opinion, I will add, I think that adds to the rumor, not rumor, I have a rumor in my own head that Gears is getting a reboot. I'm going to hold on to it until I see it. Maybe it's because I want it and I know the franchise desperately needs it, even if it's just a soft reboot. Let me explain why. Because I have a whole theory built up in my head about this, and I just have to say it. All Xbox heard from last generation was Halo, Gears, Forza. Halo got a soft reboot. Halo Infinite was supposed to be a soft reboot of the franchise. So therefore, they took the number out of the game, and you just had Halo Infinite. Forza Motorsport, the new one that came out, was just called Forza Motorsport. It wasn't called Forza Motorsport 8. And you know, you can't really reboot a racing game, but that's a reboot if I've ever seen one. They literally took the number out of the game and said, "Nope, it's just Forza Motorsport." So, if you're doing the detective case board and you're saying Halo, which again all we heard was Halo, Gears, Forza, Halo soft reboot, Forza reboot somewhat, Gears, what happens there? And when you add it to the fact that no one was really blown away by the stories of 4 and 5, like I can count on one hand the amount of people that was really invested in those stories. I'm not being mean. I'm just saying. I'm being honest here. Like, cause I'm a Gears fan. I fucking loved, especially Gears 3. I fucking love Gears. The original trilogy was amazing. You know, it will pull at your heartstrings. It's a really good game. Honestly, it is. But 4 and 5 was the most middle of the road games I've ever seen in my life. Like I've never seen a studio come back, a new studio, not even just like this was a new studio. You know, it was led by Rod Ferguson who had worked on the Gears trilogy, but like there was nothing new outside of new characters and like the new enemy that you fight in that game is literally just the Locust. They couldn't even add a new enemy to the game. It was just the Locust. Like I was so bummed out by those games. Just like, are you serious? Like this franchise was going for so long, and this is what you come back with? It's just more Gears. And then in this 5, you did more Gears. It needs a reboot, and if it's Gear 6, okay, whatever. But I think rip the band-aid off now. It's been 5 years. Maybe that's what they've been doing is they've been working on what does a Gears reboot look like? Is it a soft reboot? Is it a full reboot? Do you do the Gears or God of War route? You know, where you change it up. You just change up the vibe. Well, not the vibe, but you lean more into the horror. Gears of War used to be about horror. It used to be kind of scary in its own way, and it got away from that, unfortunately. So my pitch is you come back with a Gears reboot that is a horror. It's nasty. It's gritty. It's visceral. You know, it's mean. You know, it's a nasty ass fucking horror shooter. And I think that sounds fucking incredible. If it's Gear 6, I'm still excited because it's been a long time and I would like to play another Gears game at this point, but I just think that sounds so nice. Just come back with just a new take on Gears because it desperately needs it. But I know I was talking for a while. I just had to get that out of my system.
Yeah, that does sound really interesting, like a really interesting take on Gears of War. What you just said, coming back with like a God of War style reboot, just
Yeah.
completely go back to the drawing,
Well, it needs it,
start
man.
fresh.
It needs it. There's just a lot of franchises like that, especially it's not 2008 anymore. To all Gears of War fans, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but it's not 2008 anymore. Like you have to rethink your games. You have to bring it to the future. And I'm sorry, but Gears of War 4 in those games, the newest addition in those games was microtransactions. like, that was the newest innovation for Gears was microtransactions. So
You always have to try to evolve and innovate and try to bring in more players into your game.
exactly, like just go fucking scary as fuck with it. Dude, like make a Gears reboot that goes back to that brotherhood tale that the original Gears trilogy had. You know, go back to a focus on two-player co-op. I remember playing Gears of War 1 with my brother in 2000 like 6 or 7, and I was blown a fucking way, dude, because it felt like you were playing with your brother, Like it was Marcus and it was Dom, and you two played the game together. And it just felt like, that these characters, there was such a camaraderie about, like, even just outside, like Cole and those other guys, it just felt like those characters cared about each other. It was a real brotherhood feeling, and, you know, like, bring back characters like that and put them in a scary ass fucking situation with this new threat, not the fucking Locust, a new threat that's horrifying and scary, and I think it'd be fucking amazing, dude. Honestly, I really do. But unfortunately, they might just do Gear 6, which, again, I'll play it, and I'm excited for it, and I think it's going to look amazing. Like, people forget, but the Coalition worked on the Matrix Awakens Unreal Engine 5 thing. They were the one that worked on that. Like, they were the one that did it. They know the ins and outs of Unreal Engine. And if Gear 6 sucks in terms of story and gameplay, it will still be fucking beautiful. We know that for a fact. It will be a beautiful ass video game. But I just hope that the rest of the game holds up as well.
Another game I think that we can see that's been missing in action for quite some time at Xbox showcases is I think we could see Everwild at this summer showcase.
Hmm. Yeah,
I think that's somewhat likely to see Everwild. I know we talked about it a little bit on our last recording,
yeah, which is now scrapped. So
but I see Everwild. I think we could see Everwild at this summer showcase.
yeah, I mean, like I said, we recorded a previous episode, which we're not going to put out because it was just outdated. We did it right before the direct announcement. Um, but so I'm not going to talk about overall too much, I guess, just because unfortunately, I felt like I got so much of it out in that video. And but basically, the sentiment of what I said in that video was it was internally rebooted. I don't know what the original vision of the game was, but clearly it just wasn't working. Probably a case of announcing it too early, honestly. But
I just hope that when they do show it again, if they show it at this summer showcase, is I just hope we get like a idea, like a vision of what this game is and what this game's gonna be.
yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying in that previous recording was like
Yeah,
if you
like is
could,
it going to be single player or is it going to be multiplayer focused? Like,
yep.
what is it? Want
Well,
to
that,
see it?
yep. And that's the thing is, I feel like nobody knows what the fuck that game is, even Rare. I don't even think Rare knows what it is, and yeah, I'm sure they figured that out by now. But it's just funny that like honestly, especially it was internally rebooted. Greg Mills was put on the project as director. Like I don't think Rare knew what the fuck it was. I just think they were playing around with things and like they came up with this idea, but it was like, well, okay, now we got to do it. And I love Rare, and all that bullshit that people used to say back in the Xbox One gen of, oh, Microsoft killed Rare, they bought them, like bullshit. They were doing new and unique games in the 360 gen. People just didn't want to play them because they were hating on them because Microsoft bought them. Viva Pinata, had that came out on the Switch, people would have loved it. It was a unique take. And even, something like Nuts and Bolts, which gets a ton of hate, but now all of a sudden, you know, when new games come out and new IPs come out, the whole point of them is, all right, we're going to go back to the drawing board and we're going to rethink how to take this idea of Banjo and translate it to do something new, something fresh. And back then apparently that was a sin, but now it's what we expect from new entries in franchises. And apparently Nuts and Bolts was horrible for doing that, even though they did the create. They were like you could create your own vehicles and stuff, which is something so praised in Tears of the Kingdom. But Rare, they were doing stuff. Everyone just hates because they did a few Connect games. Like everyone's like, oh, Microsoft put them on Connect games. It's like, okay, they did a few Connect games. It's okay. And then they come out with Sea of Thieves, which is one of Microsoft's most biggest games ever. It's like 30 million players. So nobody can doubt the talent at Rare. That studio still knows what they're doing. So I trust them. I trust Rare. I trust that they're going to do something good. I just I don't know what the fuck it is, and I don't think anyone knows what it is.
I
So
hope
yeah, go ahead.
you can finish what you was gonna say.
I was just gonna say, I just again what you said. I just hope that when they come back and show it, give people a great idea of what the fuck it is. That's it. That's all. I just give us an idea of what the game is.
My hopes for that game is I would love to see Rare's take on a Breath of the Wild like game.
Yeah, and that's my
I would
I share this
love
same
to see
opinion.
that. I just probably wouldn't be that interested in it if they done like another multiplayer focused game because I've already seen what Rare can do with a multiplayer focused game. They made Sea of Thieves, which is a really great game. I would like to see what they could do with like single player again, like an open world. Like imagine like Rare doing like an open world Breath of the Wild type game, like I mentioned,
Yeah,
where the main focus is like exploration and combat and um, unique gameplay mechanics, like you mentioned with Nuts and Bolts. Like just imagine a game like that. Like thinking of a game like that excites me.
yeah. I mean, yeah, same. I mean, and that's what I was gonna say. Like, yeah, like I would love Everwild to be what you just described. I don't know if it is. I, I just maybe Rare just sees that multiplayer is where the innovation is. I don't know. Maybe that's where they get their ideas. Um, maybe they can strike a balance too. Maybe you can have the things that you just mentioned, where you can play by yourself and you can explore and you can do all these things, but there's a multiplayer component. I hope that it is. If there's multiplayer, I hope it's a mix. I hope that you can just jump in and play by yourself. Because listen, even like Sea of Thieves, you can play by yourself. It's it's not the most solo friendly game ever. So I hope that Everwild is like, okay, you're playing by yourself, that's fine. It's okay if you're playing by yourself. It's not a big deal. You can still do all of this stuff. I hope there's missions and things like that. But again, I just don't know if maybe that's just not what Rare wants to do anymore. Maybe they want to be innovative and they want to do unique games and they see that as a multiplayer thing and not a single player thing. I don't know.
Do you have any predictions for Xbox later in the year?
Yeah, so I mentioned this in the video that we recorded that got scrapped, got canceled. Um, I think that we're definitely going to see ID's next game, and I think it's going to be Quake. I think that again, I just don't think that there's no reason to go back and remaster Quake 1 and Quake 2 and put them out on all platforms. And like I said, I think that Quake 2 got new content, or maybe it was just PC locked content that was brought over. I don't know. But why do that? What's the reason to do that? You have no motivation to do that. Especially they put machine games on Quake 2. Why do that? Why make it such a priority? if your plan isn't to bring back Quake. It would be a nice break from Doom, although I do think they're going to play kind of similar in terms of gameplay because they're both very fast shooters. I just think that it would be nice for that studio maybe to get a break and say, okay, let's let's you know let's give Doom a little bit of a break. Let's think about some new ideas for Doom. Let's go to this new world that hasn't had a new game in a while, and let's do what to Quake what we did to Doom. Let's bring it back. Let's because like Quake has a lot of potential in terms of just its worlds and its again it can have that Doom effect. I think, and like I said, I don't know how different they're going to play. That's the only issue I can see is I don't know how different they're going to be. But I think that I think it just has to be Quake. I just don't know why you do the remasters if there's just no motive behind it. There's just no reason to do it if there's not a motive, in my opinion. But maybe it's Doom. I don't know. I think it's Quake personally.
I would like to see um, Quake brought back in the same style as Doom. I feel like that could be really big for that series. And like you said, like why would they bring back Quake, like remaster it with this new content if they don't plan on doing anything with it? I know there was a rumor about Doom Year Zero that was kind of like a prequel, wasn't it? Wasn't it like a
Yeah,
prequel
yeah, it's supposed to be like
to
a prequel.
see? That just doesn't really. I know I don't play Doom for the story. Like nobody plays Doom for the story, but that's just kind of odd to me. Like you make two games and then you go back and do a prequel.
Yeah, and see that's why I don't buy into that rumor. And then also, we know for a fact that apparently that's actually been scrapped. Well, not for a fact, but it seems like a lot of people are like, "Hey, I don't think that's happening anymore." And the reason I would say it's for sure not happening is literally just what you mentioned. I'm sorry, but nobody cares about the story in Doom. I don't play Doom for the story
Yeah,
either.
nobody Doom for the story. Like you play Doom for that gunplay,
Exactly.
for that gunplay to brain off, kill some demons. Yeah, that's what you play Doom for. You don't play Doom for the story.
Exactly. So why do a prequel? Like like in story-rich games, it's understandable if prequels happen. There's no reason to do a prequel for Doom. There's just no reason to do it. Don't do it. If you're listening, don't do it. It's pointless.
Because the way that rumor sounds to me is like it's kind of like Metal Gear Solid. Like you have Metal Gear Solid 1 and Metal Gear Solid 2. And you're focusing on Solid Snake with Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. And then like for Metal Gear Solid 3, you go back to like Big Boss. Like why are they giving Doom that treatment?
So
You know, nobody cares about the story in Doom.
so what you're saying is Doom Year Zero is actually OD and it's made by Kojima. He's giving it the MGS treatment. He's like, let's go back. Let's add some context to Doom guy.
Yeah, I feel like Doom needs a break. I feel like they could put Doom on the back burner for a little bit, bring back Quake. There's also that rumored Mandalorian game.
Definitely not happening in my opinion. For sure not. And
I
I
mean,
don't want it. I don't want it to happen.
I see that working. I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I could see like a Mandalorian game from it working. I could see them like really nailing um, that game, that world's universe and stuff like that. I could
Yeah.
really see them doing that, like nailing it.
I mean, maybe, but I'm a Star Wars hater. I hate Star Wars. I'm just gonna be honest with you, but I don't want to see. I don't want to see talent wasted. I don't want to see talent at id wasted by working on a Star Wars game. Give me Quake. I'll take Quake.
I mean, we're in no shortage of Star Wars games, but
No, we're not. We're in no shortage of Star Wars content. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, movies, TV shows. There's too much. Too much
it
content for
just
Star
seems like
Wars.
that Star Wars is just a license that like everyone's just chomping at the bit at. It seems.
Well, it's a Disney license, so it makes sense. Everyone wants those Disney licenses. I'm happy that at least Xbox is getting a lot of the Disney licenses that I like. I like that we're getting a Blade game. I like that we're getting Indiana Jones, which I'm not. I like Indiana Jones. I remember growing up, I watched those movies. Now I'm not an Indiana Jones mega fan. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. But at least it's like I don't know, like Skylar knows that I'm not the biggest fan of Marvel. I'm more of a DC guy, and I fucking hate Star Wars. So like, if it announces a Mandalorian game, it's like, woo, like I'm gonna play it just because I love it, and they're really talented, and I'm sure the game would feel fucking incredible. And if I play it for any reason, it'd be that. Maybe be a good idea because Doom and Star Wars have a lot in common. The stories both fucking suck. So it would all be about the gameplay for me. So maybe it'd be a good idea. Maybe do a Mandalorian game, ids, because again, the stories in both fucking suck. So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's happening. I think it's Quake personally, but we'll see. I don't know. Maybe. Okay. All right. So to end off the video because we don't have much time, Skylar, just a couple quick. What's some quick Xbox predictions that you think will happen this year?
Let me think. And I feel like this is everyone's wild card prediction, and it has been for like 7 years now. Banjo Kazooie coming back.
One of these years it will happen, and everyone will be right.
One, I'm just gonna keep saying it every year, and then eventually it'll happen.
It'll happen eventually. It'll definitely happen eventually. I think it's already in the works, but I don't know if this year's the year. I think maybe it's a little bit too soon, but I don't know. We'll see. But you got any other ones?
Um, Come back to me on that.
Okay.
What are yours?
I'll say for one, we're definitely not going to see mid-gen refreshes. I don't think Xbox is doing that. We can make a whole nother video about the supposed 2026 Xbox video. Honestly, that would be a great video because I'm so fucking pumped about that idea, and I hope it's happening. Um, I think just in my heart of hearts, because I'm a Halo nerd and it's my favorite franchise. I hope we see the next entry in the Halo franchise. I hope that we see it this year in just a CGI tease. Please, I'm starving for Halo content and I need something. So, uh, I hope for more. I hope for more Halo spin-offs too. You have a mega franchise Xbox. Why are you treating it this way? Why is there not a bunch of just spin-off games for Halo? It's ridiculous. But yeah, I'll say I hope that the next entry of Halo is shown this year. I don't care if it's CGI. I don't care if it's you know if they make a JPEG image of Master Chief's helmet. It just says Halo 7. I don't care. Just something. I'm trying to think what. Okay, I got a wild prediction for you, and this is definitely not going to happen. But just in the spirit of it, I'm going to put it out there. It, it's not like a big Xbox thing, but I'm going to say this at this year's Xbox showcase, we are going to get the announcement of either Final Fantasy 7 Remake or Final Fantasy 16 on Xbox.
That's a big prediction. I think 7 Remake is more likely, at least part one of it. But I don't know about 16. I might have to disagree with you there. I don't know about 16. I still feel like Sony is going to
Why
have
though?
that lock.
Why though? It didn't sell that well. What would be the reason for keeping it?
DLC, maybe?
They're not doing it. No, Yoshi P has already basically came out, and he's like, "Fuck, we're done." I mean, that's basically what Yoshi P because I think he came out today. I seen a quote where he was like, well, he was talking about 17, but he was, like, or no, he came out the other day and he was saying how him and his team want to go on the new things, that there's no more plans for 16 and stuff. What's the reason that Sony has to keep it? It didn't sell that well. Square Enix was disappointed in it. I'm sure Sony was disappointed in it as well. So why would they care if 16 comes to Xbox? If is it just for like
Well, when
like
is
brand
the last
power?
DLC? When is that last DLC coming out, though?
Yeah, true. I didn't think about that one. This the second one. I don't know when that
Yeah.
comes out.
Since we're on the topic of JRPGs, I'm just going to put it out there. Don't know if it will happen or not, but I'm just going to put it out there. Persona 6 will get announced at the Xbox Summer Showcase.
I was actually thinking about that one, but then I was like, no, I think it's been enough time where maybe 7 Remake can finally come over to Xbox.
I think so too. Like, it's been a long time. We're getting ready to have Rebirth coming out.
It's time.
They should just go ahead and put Remake Part 1 on Game Pass for Xbox fans can enjoy that too.
Even if it's not in Game Pass, just put it on the fucking console. Like at this point, I think they should put it in Game Pass, but just put it on the console. Like it's like it's we know that Square's going multiplayer anyway. Final Fantasy 14's coming over to Xbox. Just put it on Xbox. All right, guys. I want to thank y'all for watching this video and like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.